Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 7 of Better Let Me Tell You. Yes, the Muppets. Listen, we have to be very familiar with that theme song if we're going to start campaigning for Piggy for the Olympics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You know.
I told you, I loved, I mean, like everybody, I loved the Muppet Show growing up, but I liked the intro with like all those arches.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you're only human.
If I'm being really honest, the iteration of the Muppets that I like the best is like nobody's favorite.
Muppet Babies?
Muppet Babies.
That's not true.
I love Muppet
That's
Babies.
a lot of people's favorite.
Yeah, people like Nanny.
It's Barbara Billingsley,
Oh, I don't know who that is.
the mother from Leave It to Beaver.
Oh, her.
Yeah. Or she's also the one who spoke Jive in Airplane.
Okay, so I just think of socks.
Well, yes, there's that. Yeah. I saw a meme the other day that was like, children of a certain people of a certain age will always wonder what these two look like, and it's Nanny's socks and the back of Dr. Claw's chair from Inspector Gadget.
You know who my favorite Muppet is, right?
I want to say Beaker.
It's Beaker.
Okay.
It's always been Beaker. Anyway, with that said, everybody, welcome to episode
I have faith in you.
214.
Well,
314.
313.
313.
313.
Oh,
You
man,
were
so
close. You were close.
I was off by 111.
You were close.
101 deal.
And Cruella DeVille would be okay with that.
101. Beep, 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 Beaker.
I think it's great that that's your favorite Muppet.
Beaker? Well, what is there not to love?
I love Beaker, but just your favorite Muppet.
Oh, yeah, he's my favorite Muppet.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Grover.
But that's Sesame Street.
Right. I love Grover. Of the Muppets, yeah, he's my favorite Muppet.
Beaker.
Beaker.
I would love for him to like be invited on The View.
Beaker?
And just do like, and have them do like a straight faced interview with him.
With like him and Bill Nye.
Or like Bill Maher. Like just like and have it to be, but have it be a straight interview, like ask super serious questions, and he's like, me.
Beaker, do you carry liability insurance?
Me.
Because a lot of things blow up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that him and the Wile E. Coyote are uninsurable.
Listen, I learned two words that are not words from Wile E. Coyote, and that's TNT and acme.
That's true. It's also kind of where, Looney Tunes in general is where I learned about anvils.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because we weren't blacksmiths.
I remember the anvils would drop on him, but I wasn't sure what I did not know the word anvil, let alone, but I didn't really know what that was. I was like una cosa que pesa mucho negra.
I didn't even know what an anvil was used for,
right,
until I was probably in like my late teens, early 20s.
Yeah. I feel that Latin people don't really talk about anvils.
No, they don't, but they do talk about their malanga. So that's the trade-off.
That's the trade-off.
Yes,
White people talk about anvils. So much so that they made it into an iconic cartoon.
Absolutely. Day and night. Connecticut is just full of people talking about anvils.
I love when my father starts talking about El Conejo Bugs.
Oh, that's not the same person.
No. So, okay, let's see how well you know me. What is my favorite episode of, Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes, all that?
The one with Gossamer,
of course,
where he gets a permanent.
Of course, I love when they get high on ether.
Yes,
which I didn't even know what that was. And the mad science is like, "Come back, my little rabbit." And then he, the bed. It's like he goes down like a waterfall. Right from the waterfall of the like where the laboratory, and then that waterfall leads into his rabbit hole.
Oh, actually, Looney Tunes is why I know about Albuquerque.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because Bugs, whenever he ends up in a place that he shouldn't be, he's like, must have taken a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Okay, let me ask you something because I've always wondered this, and you know what? Maybe if you don't know, our listeners will know. Although it has to be our listeners from a certain age.
Okay.
What was it when we were kids that you had to write up to somebody or something at Pueblo, Colorado?
Oh, okay. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I don't know what it was. It was a catalog. Was it a catalog?
Was it a catalog that you would have to write to something in
Pueblo,
Pueblo, Colorado?
Yeah, I think it was a catalog, but I don't know for what.
That's why I'm asking you.
I haven't. Wow.
So if you were a kid in the 80s, what is it that we had to write to get something? And it was in Pueblo, Colorado.
Pueblo, Colorado. I had totally like blocked that out of my head until right now.
Well, one of my favorite also gimmicks of the 80s was that little campaign they had about science. Astronomy, biology, chemistry, zoology, science, and technology is fun, you'll see.
I had forgotten about that entire jingle till right now.
You don't remember that?
No, until right now.
And do you remember in PBS, 3, 2, 1, contact is the answer.
Yes, I remember contact.
Where everything happens, contact.
Yeah.
Let's make contact.
Aww.
3, 2, 1, contact.
That I remember. I do remember contact.
Well, we've gone down a rabbit
This
hole.
is a nostalgia rabbit hole for sure.
You know, growing up in the 80s, because
Yes.
that is like specifically 80s.
My God, now I'm wondering, what was Pueblo, Colorado?
Listeners, let us know, what is it that we used to write to? And I remember it was like a PSA sort of commercial that would be like, oh, for write to us in Pueblo, Colorado.
It wasn't the Church of Latter-day Saints.
No, it wasn't anything
They
religious.
just told us about lying.
Right, no. But
Do you remember that commercial?
no.
Okay, there was a commercial that it was like a bunch of guys in trench coats, like in dark hallways with flashlights, and it was like, when you tell one lie, it leads to another. When you tell 2 lies, it leads to another. When you tell 4 lies,
No,
bro.
that.
That was by the Church of Latter-day Saints.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was a PSA.
I mean, I remember the one about the egg and the brain on drugs.
Oh well, yeah, of course.
This is your brain on drugs. Yeah. No, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Boom.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I learned it from watching you.
Oh yeah. What is in Pueblo, Colorado anyway? I don't think I've ever heard of Pueblo, Colorado before. After that,
aside from The Office, for whatever we were asking for, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't.
We're totally looking this up after we record.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
So,
like, I'm literally writing it down right now so I don't forget.
That, and they don't have after school specials anymore.
No.
For some reason, the after school special I remember the most was the one with Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Yeah, I don't remember many of those.
And I was like, that's Theo, but it wasn't Theo.
Yeah, because we were that age where we still didn't understand.
And I remember that week he was in a after school special, and he also hosted Friday night videos on NBC.
It was a busy week.
It was
for
a busy
Malcolm
week.
Jamal Warner.
Yeah, it was.
Wow. MJW. That's what they would have called him now. If he was an actor now, he'd be known as MJW.
Well, he is an actor.
No. But I'm saying if he was starting out now, like if he was like a quote unquote new actor, they would talk about him as MJW.
Not Theo Huxtable.
No, not at all. Well, I don't know if Theo Huxtable would happen with Bill Cosby right now.
Well, that's true. There would be no Theo Huxtable.
No, there would.
But you know what the worst part about that is that there wouldn't be any Claire Huxtable.
And you know what's the worst part about that?
There would be no Wretched.
And that's just all we have to say.
Listeners, have you finally seen the scene of the Cosby Show that we've talked so much about when Vanessa goes to Baltimore, Maryland to go see the Wretched? I mean, people, you got to look that up. Just go to YouTube, put the Cosby Show, the Wretched, Baltimore, Maryland, and you're going to watch the best 3 minutes of sitcom TV.
I'm thinking about our Pero Primo who reached out to us and he was like, what is that from? Because my grandfather used to say it that way. And we're like, well, it's from a Cosby Show episode. And he's like, I don't think that's where my grandfather was saying it. And we're like,
maybe it was.
I still think so. Pero Primo, if you're listening, I still think your grandfather was a huge fan of that episode.
How can you not be?
I think he was a huge fan, and that's why he used to say it that way.
Donuts.
Cliff.
How's your stuff for donuts in Wilmington? Anyway, enough about that. Enough about that nonsense. So what went on this week?
Well, there was a couple things that went on this week. So I think we'll start at the top, and we will say that there was a study that was released this week from Preply. I've never heard of them. And they measured the 46 largest United States metropolitan areas. So, the biggest cities.
I know where you're going with this.
And they assessed things like lack of self-awareness, rudeness to service workers, and not acknowledging strangers, and found that out of those 46...
Miami was number one?
We're number one. We're number one.
And hold on. Let me ask you something. And did you read the article?
I didn't read the article in full.
I imagine that article, there was probably some type of parallel how Miami beat New York.
I would imagine. Okay. I would imagine, but I didn't say that.
You know what I find interesting in that? And I've said this before. I mean,
don't disagree.
you lived in New York. I didn't live in New York, but I grew up going to New York, and I've been to New York, I don't know, 100 times. Like, I feel that I know a city well enough when I can give address. Like, somebody asked me for an address,
That's fair.
and I could tell them how to get somewhere. I'm like, okay, I know the city pretty well. Right. I can help. I can give address advice in New York City. So I feel I know it well enough. I have never found people in New York to be any more or less rude than anywhere else.
I will say this 1,000 times. What I find about New Yorkers is that they're not rude. New Yorkers are just like, I got shit to do. Mm-hmm. I'm on my way to do this shit. Now, either you can walk alongside with me at a brisk pace or get out of my way.
I mean, I'm sure you'll bump into a rude person here and there, but I've never thought that people in New York are any more or less rude than here.
After fainting on the subway, I gotta say New Yorkers are nice.
That here, though, I think something that really happens here that even though New York, there's a lot of people from all over the world in New York, I think here the language barrier has a lot to do with it, because something that we talk about a lot in our community is that a lot of times people, when they don't speak English, but they're in a predominantly Spanish area, they just don't even try. So if you're that one person who doesn't speak English well, or doesn't speak Spanish at all, doesn't speak Spanish well, or doesn't speak it at all, then you got the, ay, no, yo no hablo inglés. And, I'm at Walgreens. Right.
It's frustrating as fuck.
Right. I'm not, en La Juguera, en La 49 de 16. Right. In Hialeah. I'm at freaking CVS. Right. I'm at a bank.
I should be able to communicate.
Right. And and I know that sometimes for shits and giggles, we're like, but in reality, it that can't.
It should not happen.
There's obviously a lot of facets to being rude or being the rudest city, but I do think that's a big part of it. I don't know if we are the rudest people. I wouldn't go out on a limb and say we are the rudest people, but I don't think we're nice
at all. What I found interesting was that one of the measurements used was something that I think is very indicative and says a lot about it. The level of lack of self-awareness.
Oh, yes.
That was one of the measurements. And the minute that I saw that, I was like, yes, 1,000%. That is 100% us. That is why we are rudest, right? Like I can see how that would put us over the top, right? If it's like we're neck and neck with somebody. I think this is a city where people do not understand that there are other people around them who do not give a fuck about what they're doing and don't want to have to deal with your bullshit. And I'm going to give the example that I've given several times here. At the gym, when they're having the other day at Dollar Tree, the lady was having a full-on FaceTime conversation. Altavoz, she wasn't on an earpad, or earbud thing. And it's like, why? You're at work. How unself-aware are you?
Right. It's not like she made a quick call.
Right. Or it was an emergency. Like, oye, recoge la niña a las 3. And, hung up. No. She was... I was in my work. Her work day was interrupting her phone call.
Right.
Right. So el otro día I was at the gym in the steam room. Some guy, I just had my headphones on. No mentira, I didn't, because my battery had run out. And this guy took out his phone and just started like a full blast, on his phone, looking at all his Instagram videos and scrolling and this and that. So you know what I did?
What?
I took out my phone and I put it as high the volume as I could, and I just started blasting. Actually, Eddie's podcast, "Kill the Bottle." Mm-hmm. Yeah, he put his phone away within about a minute after that. Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay.
Because I was like, you know what? Two can play this game, and you're lucky that I don't just put on some porn.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we didn't have to go there. I think that is a problem. I don't know if that's a problem everywhere else, but I do think that's a problem. There's so many things. Like sometimes I'm at the supermarket. It's something as simple as like being at like the supermarket and two people in their shopping carts are like talking in the middle of the aisle, blocking the entire aisle. Yes. And they're completely oblivious to the fact that they're in the middle of a huge supermarket. So you know what I do? I just get in front of them and look at them. I don't say a word. I just make it like very uncomfortable. Right. Like I'll be like, oh my God. Like after 2 minutes, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, you should have done that, 2 minutes ago.
Right. You should be, again, aware of your surroundings.
Right. Or, la gente que se te colan, And I think they're so like, oh, well, there's a line. Yeah, there's a line of like 40 people behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not just standing here for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the one that really caught me. I was like, oh, yeah, they did their research. Lack of self-awareness. Because everything else, it depends. Like, rudeness to service workers and not acknowledging strangers. Like, That can fluctuate, and
but you know what? Though, having lived somewhere else that is very different. In the Midwest, everybody did say hi to each other.
That is true.
And I remember in like the Midwest, you would go to a store, and most stores did have greeters. And they would be like, hello, have a nice day, hello. And everybody would say hello to each other. Everybody. I've said this many times. Like, when I lived in Michigan, the Walmart experience, at least where I lived, was very different than the Walmart experience here.
I would imagine.
Night and day. Like, first of all, the Walmart up in Michigan, at least the ones that I used to go to, were brown tone, not gray tones. So so that changed the mood, right?
Okay.
They looked more like Targets. They had like wood, like
it's like warm.
Yeah, warmer colors, right? Yeah, that changes the mood, right? And you always had a few greeters in the front. You had people always wanting to help you. It was a very, very different experience than, everybody for themselves
on a good day.
I've told you. Do you know what they should play when you walk into Walmart? You know who the fuck you are? You're in the jungle, baby. It's time to die. Actually, no. Let me not say that.
No. But you can stop at the jungle. Yes. You're in the jungle, baby.
Because it's
every man for themselves.
Yeah, it's just it's such a different experience. Yeah. And again, I don't know if we're the rudest. I don't know, but I definitely don't think people here are nice. That's why so many times here, when you do go somewhere, that you get great, like, people are polite. There's great service. People are friendly. You're like, oh my God.
It stands out.
Wow.
Like, and they're just being like baseline.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So
I do find it funny though that they said natives are found to be ruder than those who live in downtown Miami or Brickell, and it's like, well, yeah, because those aren't real Miami people.
I mean, yeah, but that's a flex we don't want.
I'm like, God damn it, I have to go that route now.
That's a flex we don't want.
Not really.
And then, and I think a lot of it does have to do with the whole thing of Miami of, you could have a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz and live in efficiency. Right. A lot of it is show. People want to be showy, and they want, the people, a term that we don't use as much, but is very true to Miami, is that people here are very plastic.
Oh,
people don't say that
we
anymore.
Don't say that anymore. We should bring it back.
Que plástico, que plástica.
Yeah.
People here are very plastic, and they're all about showy, and they're all about, like, look at what I have, and that is tied into that as well. I mean, and look, it's just sometimes it's so ingrained in just the attitude that you don't even realize it. Like, I think I told you the story a couple of weeks ago or whatever. I was around certain relatives, and I was mentioning, because we went to Denny's, and they're like, "You went to Denny's?" And I'm like, yeah, we went to Denny's. We wanted to go to Denny's. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I haven't been to Denny's in like 20 years. I'm so over like other level than Denny's. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry that I'm not going to an authentic American diner,
Hey, they are America's diner.
Right. Where they're charging me, $30 per pancakes.
Right.
But, I'm sorry that I want a Moons Over Miami or, what's the
Grand Slam?
The bird. Let's say the Angry Bird.
No.
The whatever sandwich.
Uh-huh.
I'm so sorry that,
Yeah, whatever, dude. Like, yeah.
No, and it's diner food. But they said, what, I'm going to Denny's to have, like, caviar poached eggs, right?
No, I want to have that at Denny's.
Or I'm going to have, some, like, delicacy or something.
Right.
I'm going for scrambled eggs and bacon.
Yeah. It's a pretty basic menu.
I mean,
I shouldn't pay anything over $10.
And you know what? Their burger is actually pretty good. And Burger Beast, who may know a thing or two about burgers, has said it is.
I've heard, yeah.
So, but again, that whole attitude of like, I'm so
you go
above
there?
that. And it's like, go to Denny's, Yeah. So what?
Yeah, and I'll go again.
Especialmente con lo cara que está la comida ahora.
Thank you. This is what I'm saying.
So actually, you know what? I want to complain about something. I'm going to complain about freaking inflation. And you know what? And
I'll take.
And I, as the purveyors of Ping Pong Pollo, we know how expensive things can be and all that. I went to a sub shop, a local sub shop.
Right. So we're not going to say which one because that's not
a
nice.
local sub shop. It was not Subway. It was a local sub shop. I ordered 2 subs, 2 drinks, and 2 little bags of potato chips.
Okay. So nothing's crazy.
2 subs, 2 drinks, 2 bags of potato chips. I want you to guess how much it was. And I didn't add extra anything.
So this is like a base level. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because they only have one size of sub.
$27.
It was $49.
$50
It was $50. It's $49
for 2 sandwiches, 2
2
chips,
sandwiches.
and 2 sodas.
It was 2 steak and cheeses.
Okay, viste un poco más caro, pero bueno, still.
It's a steak and cheese. Do you think they're using ribeye or filet mignon?
I'm gonna guess no.
2 steak and cheese, 2 potato chips, 2 drinks. The drinks were
$50.
a can.
Oh, so it wasn't even a fountain. So you couldn't get refills. You couldn't go back.
No, this was a pickup order.
Okay.
It's $49. Let me tell you something. And we've discussed this here before. There is inflation. Things are more expensive. We know all that. It is. Nobody's arguing that. No. Pero la gente también está descarada.
They are. There's a descaro. I think recently, oh God, who was it that came out? There was some company that came out that said, yeah, we've been, we even accounting for inflation, we've been overcharging. And this was like a huge company. It wasn't like, mom and pop who's trying to stay afloat. And, again, not that it makes it okay, but at least you understand where they're coming from when it's a mom and pop. You know what I mean? It's like they're trying to make ends meet. But when it's a big corporation, it's like kind of going, yeah, we've just been overinflating.
Because you know what? There's another local, and this is a local chain down here.
Okay.
That serves chicken that I love.
Okay.
I love them. I don't think you love them as much as I do. Right?
Probably not.
It's a local chicken chain.
Okay.
Right? I love them and I love their sauce. And, I've been going there for a very long time.
You were the one who introduced me to them.
Yes. And they have risen their prices significantly.
Yeah.
They're always measuring each piece of chicken.
Yeah.
It's
nickel and dime.
if a little morsel of a piece of chicken is more than it's supposed to be in their little cup that they measure the chicken, they put it out. They don't give it to you. And again, as someone who has a small business in chicken, I understand that prices go up when you're a small business. Every cent counts. I get it. But here's the thing. If you're going to charge me more because things are more expensive, then the amount that you give me shouldn't go down. Right?
Right. We should maintain.
Right. Exactly. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm not going to pay the same price that I paid 10 years ago because people are like, oh my God, 10 years ago. Well, it's not 10 years ago. Right? Okay. Prices have gone up. There's inflation. But if you raise your price and you raise your price significantly, then you shouldn't raise your price, but then bring the quantity of food down. You raise your price and you give me the same amount of food as before. But a lot of places, and this local chain is one of them, they measure every morsel of rice, every piece of chicken, and they give you a substantially less amount now than they did before. And now it's even more expensive. And also, their cups with their famous sauce. And I think most people could probably figure out who this place is.
Yeah, if you're from South Florida, this is not the hardest thing.
Their cups with their famous sauce, right? Their cups used to be a certain size.
It's gotten smaller.
Now they have the cups that are half the size, right? But if you want extra sauce, they charge you.
Right.
So with that extra sauce, you're actually receiving the same amount of sauce that you used to receive 3 years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's what, food prices go up. Food is very expensive now. I get it. If you're a restaurant or a small business like we are, your food prices are going to go up. I get it. But if you raise your food price, your quantity should not go down. And that is the problem that I have with a lot of places, that then you're charging me more because you're paying more for the food, but you're giving me less. So what that tells me is that you are price gouging, and you're going this for the profit and screwing the consumer. So as a small business owner, I can say that, and I said it.
Yes. And I never want to hear you complain about our prices again.
No, I mean, we're not, being Papollo's not cheap.
Okay.
Being Papollo's not cheap, but I think that we give a value to our food.
Say.
And I think we've been pretty good about not raising our prices in the 3 years we've been together doing it. It's not like we've doubled in
Right,
our
we
price.
went from $1 to $12 or whatever.
Right. I mean, I think it's gone on 50 cents or something like that. But yeah, no. And I'm sorry. We're going to lose our sponsorship. Chipotle and roll. Tú sabes que I go to Chipotle and I get mad.
Why?
Chipotle pisses me off.
Okay,
and I'm sorry, we're going to... Okay, first of all...
Well, we're never getting that Chipotle money.
The people that just work in Chipotle don't want to be there. And you know what? It's okay. I get it. I'm not going to give them a hard time. They don't need to be there like, welcome to Chipotle. They don't need to do that. But I'll have a bowl... And they get the big spoon and they just sprinkle some rice. And I look at them and I'm like, really? Like, are you paying for this rice? Is this rice coming out of your pocket? And then, you pay extra for the grilled veggies and they put like one little sliver of green pepper and like one little sliver of onion. And I'm like, really? Really? And then, that same spoon, they put the rice in, whatever your protein is, they sprinkle a little bit on it. And then, God forbid you ask for guac. I mean, they'll be like, it's extra. You haven't even finished the sentence.
I'll have some guac.
And it's like, it's extra. And it's like, you know what? Charge me what the fuck you want. Like, yo salgo de ahí bravo. Entonces, la comida nunca está caliente. Nunca. Have you ever gone to Chipotle and had really warm or hot food? And you know that I'm not the type of person that needs to have my food super hot.
I have, but I always get the burrito. So maybe that's like...
It's like
yeah.
Yeah, Chipotle just pisses me off. I leave Chipotle mad. And I'm like,
I'm so sorry.
Why did I even have... I'd rather go to Taco Bell.
Oh, to see our friends.
Yeah,
our
Taco Bell.
pop-up friends.
Because, Taco Bell, I'm not pretending to be anything I'm not.
Taco Bell is the Denny's of Mexican food.
Right. Like, where Chipotle's like, oh, we're like this artisan authentic. No, you're not. You're Chipotle.
Yeah.
We're not getting that Chipotle sponsorship, but it's okay.
But that's okay.
I always liked Qdoba better.
But you know what? Maybe we'll get the Denny sponsorship. God knows. We talked them up this time.
America's Diner.
Diner.
Who doesn't love Denny's ranch dressing?
Give me a Moons over my hammy any day.
To dip in the ranch dressing.
Yes. 100%. I will say, you know what? No. I have one gripe against Denny's.
That's always freezing cold. I won't go to Denny's. Without my jacket.
That's not my gripe, but yes.
And this is a person who lives in like an Arctic igloo. Yes.
Yeah. No. My complaint with Denny's is that they really don't have any desserts anymore.
They got rid of the Mother Butler. I mean, they got rid of the Mother Butler pies like 40 years ago.
Right, but they still had like French silk. They would still do like a chocolate cake. I feel like Denny's now it's like, do you want ice cream or do you want apple pie?
Okay, let me ask you something.
I want variety.
And listeners, maybe those of you used to go to Denny's back in the day, didn't you feel really like special and like I'm having something really, really special when you used to order the French silk pie?
Of course. Oh my God. The French silk pie at Denny's was if like I went to somebody's house and they gave me a Viennetta.
Do you remember it had chocolate shavings on top?
Yes.
And it was like, que finura de postre.
I mean, yes. I thought that was like high-end dessert.
Yeah, French silk pie.
Listen, it was French and it was silk.
Yeah. It's practically the same thing as a Hershey's pie.
Actually, pie. It's the same.
It's like the same exact thing. Yeah. It's just that one uses Hershey's chocolate.
Exactly. The other one doesn't.
It doesn't have chocolate shavings.
I mean, it could.
That's the best thing from Burger King. No, it's not. It's the third best thing from Burger King.
Let's see, the chicken sandwich.
Yes,
and I'm gonna go with the Whopper, but I don't think that's it. I don't remember what the second thing is.
At
BK.
Why was I thinking Wendy's when I said BK? No, they're double cheeseburger with bacon. That's right. No.
That's your favorite thing.
Oh, you know what? Story's worth repeating. It's worth repeating it goes back to your This goes back to your story on how service here can be a little bit lacking and people can be a little bit rude. I understand that when you work in like a fast food restaurant and all that, a lot of the orders are very automatic and you just think very efficiently because you're getting a lot of orders. I get that. But I've told you this story a few times when I would go, especially to McDonald's a lot, and I would order 2 bacon double cheeseburgers without pickles. That's my go-to order at McDonald's. 2 bacon double cheeseburgers without pickles. And if it would be one person who got the order wrong, I would say, well, maybe it was just them.
Right.
It would be another two people. Maybe it's just a coincidence. But this was routinely people at McDonald's couldn't take my order. They're like, I'm sorry, we don't have a bacon double cheeseburger. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't have a bacon double cheeseburger? This is my go-to order for like 20 years. And I'm like, no, we have a cheeseburger with bacon.
Okay.
And I'd be like, it's the same thing. Oh, no, because it's not on my machine. And I'm like here thinking like, do I really have to explain what a bacon double cheeseburger is?
Oh,
that
yeah,
it's a double cheeseburger with bacon. So I would have to like take back my order and be like, yes, hi. I would have a bacon double cheese. And I would like stop myself. I'll be like, I mean, a double cheeseburger with bacon, please. Hold the pickles. Yeah.
That was the only way they were understanding it.
Yeah.
You know what it is, though? Mm-hmm. It really is that. There's no button for that.
Right.
So they don't know how to. They're trained to your point of
Right.
like you're on automatic.
Right.
So it's like if there's no button that says the thing that you're saying, it throws me off.
And then there's Subway.
Right.
Because then my other encounter with Subway is that, and again, I know these people are trained a certain way, so the way they're thinking in terms of the order is in the way they're trained. But my issue with Subway is when I go to there, I don't like to have the cheese melted. I don't like to put the cheese in the toaster because the cheese, when it's toasted in that mega toaster they have in Subway, it decimates the cheese. Like there's no cheese left when it's melted. So I always tell them, please toast the bread and the protein, but do not put the cheese. Pero tú no quieres queso. No, I do want cheese, pero no lo pongas en la tostadora. Bueno, entonces tú quieres queso. No, yo sí quiero queso. Pero tú no quieres queso. Sí, pero no pongas queso en la tostadora. And it goes like, I'm starting to have this engagement back and forth. I'm like, I just don't want the freaking... So you know what I just do? It got to a point that I'm like, you know what? Don't put cheese on it. And then they take it out and go, oh, I changed my mind. Can you put cheese on it?
It's just fast. It's just easier.
Faster.
It's easier in your life. Yeah. You've gained back years.
Yeah. I'm like, we can't move past the cheese.
Oh, like that book, Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh, I don't know what book that is.
It's a self-help book.
You know that you're the first person I ever saw reading or heard about Crazy Rich Asians?
Really?
I remember that book one time I was at your place and it was on your bed and I just thought, oh, this is one of you things. These are one of these like weird eccentric things that you do, like
like read a book.
No, like but it was called Crazy Rich Asians.
It was
like,
a seller.
This is an Ishmael thing, he was whatever.
Just because you don't know about things.
I do know about things.
You don't know about Crazy Rich Asians.
I don't know. Well, I know a Crazy Rich well, she's upper middle class
yeah,
Asian. Who's one of my best friends.
So you know a crazy upper middle class Asian?
Yes. And crazy she is. Let's move on to the next topic. Love you, Linda.
No, Mel. I do. I that was one of the most fun afternoons actually we spent with.
So you know what I do
York.
with what my friend. This is a friend of mine, Linda, that I went to law school with, and her and I became like really, really good friends. So what I do to this day, because I'm like, why is your name Linda? Like you're Vietnamese. Like these are the type of things I could joke around with her, right? Because we have that type of relationship. Every time I see anything called Linda, I take a picture of it and I send it to her. There's Linda Upholstery, Linda Hardware.
Linda Hardware's on A Street.
Yes. Anytime I see something called Linda. There's Linda Fabrics across the courthouse in downtown. Every time I see something called Linda, I just take a picture of it and send it to her.
It must be sent.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring up a topic. That it's it's not serious, but it's a little more serious. So, I think it was DNC last week or the week before?
Last week.
It was last week. So, last week at Democratic National Convention.
Look at you bringing up the political topics and not me.
Well, I'm diverse. That's what happens when you read Crazy Rich Asians.
I bet.
So, on the last night of the DNC, there was this whole hullabaloo about, oh my God, there's a surprise guest. And everybody was like, it's Beyonce, right? And, the Beyonce of it all, quote unquote, almost basically, and it didn't happen, but it almost overshadowed the fact that Kamala Harris was coming. Like she was the last thing of the night, right? And so the next day I was online, I was on entertainmentweekly.com, and I saw an article where they were interviewing Zach Galifianakis, the actor from The Hangover. They were interviewing him because promoting Only Murders in the Building, whatever. And he said something that I thought was very interesting, and I wanted to bring up. I wrote down his actual quote, and I wanted to say it to you because I think something you and I have talked about a little bit in the past. He says, "As a small town guy from North Carolina, I do wish the DNC would step back from celebs a bit. It works to a point, but they have to win. They have to win over rural America."
Yes.
And I thought that was so interesting to hear that from, a celebrity where, and again, I think so many times we rely on celebrity outside of politics, just in general, to bring attention to things, right? Stop and think about even our own show with our interviews. We do have famous people on because we know it brings a certain level of attention. And we love to talk to our guests, of course, but we understand that there's a certain trade-off to it. Do you think it's a little out of hand?
With the DNC,
with the Democratic Party specifically, in terms of how front and center celebrities have become.
Let's deconstruct that a little bit. So the Beyonce of it all, when there was this rumor that Beyonce was going to be there, I was like, please don't come out, Beyonce. Please don't come out. I thought it would be a terrible idea. As far as her in particular and the rumors of her coming out, I don't know if that was a rumor that they knew was false but was leaked anyway to get anticipation for people to watch the end of the DNC that night, to get people to tune in to see if Beyonce was going to come out. So maybe it was sort of like one of these stunts that... maybe
let's see what happens.
And I don't even think Kamala Harris had anything to do with that, or the campaign had anything to do with that. It could have even been the media, because I remember I was watching it on NBC, and they were like, "Oh, because we have reports that Beyonce is
in the building,
right?" And even if Beyonce's in the building, it doesn't mean she's going to come out, right? So I don't know if that was something that was planned or whatever. As far as the star caliber, the Republicans do it too. It's just that many times they can't get the same level of stardom as the Republicans, as the Democrats. So they've followed and tied to. I mean, they got Hulk Hogan this year. But even though maybe the star power is not the same, it's still the same concept, right? I just think that bringing celebrities, and this is coming from somebody who has worked in politics, right? I think that bringing celebrities into politics, especially celebrities that are like quote unquote A-listers, I think it's a terrible idea, especially in this day and age, because in this day and age where we have people struggling to make mortgage payments, to put food on the table because of how expensive and things are, and inflation and all that, I think it's a real disconnect to bring a celebrity that's a billionaire onto a stage to tell people to vote. I think that's a disconnect. I think that more people would react more if they bring a plumber, a tech worker, a single mom,
quote unquote average person,
your everyday people, to talk about their struggles and what they are going to do for those people, than if you bring a rich celebrity. Yeah, the rich celebrity is going to bring headlines, and it's going to bring clicks, and it's going to, have a viral moment, so on and so forth. But that's not necessarily going to translate to a vote on election day or election week. So I think it's really badly calculated. Obviously there's certain celebrities that are activists that maybe on a first or second day of a convention can be, if you want to bring somebody who's famous, could. There's also other celebrities that during election season may go and canvass for a certain candidate and do certain smaller scale events. That's different, because if you as a private citizen want to donate your time, and you're going to bring a certain amount of awareness to maybe help out a candidate or help out a cause, that's one thing. But for you to have a convention where you show this platform, that's another thing. And look, you could have certain moments where maybe you have a singer come and sing the national anthem or things like that, I think are fine. But when you are when a convention looks like a VMAs, that's where it could be a little bit of a disconnect. With that said, the way they did the roll call on day 3 with Little John, I mean, I thought that was great though. And overall, the DNC this year, the convention was very fun, and it got people sort of.
It seemed younger.
It seemed younger, and that's all very calculated. Don't think that that's organic. But I think that bringing out Beyonce, especially, is a huge. I mean, they didn't, but that would have been a huge mistake and a huge disconnect, because you're not going to bring somebody who. I mean, Beyonce's been rich most of her life. I mean, all her life, because her parents were wealthy, and Beyonce's not rich. She's a billionaire. You know, she's not. She doesn't represent the average person. And right now, with the way things are in terms of money in your pocket, please. I mean, I like you, Beyonce. I like your music, but please, I don't need somebody telling me about voting and about how great somebody is when you are somebody who's completely disconnected from what we go through on a daily basis. So, but no, I to make a very long topic, to answer it directly, I think it's a terrible idea. Yeah. Terrible. With that said, if Beyonce and Taylor Swift would have come on the DNC, I think the axis of the earth would have, shifted. But yeah, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. I again, it's that thing of, I think what you were saying is the very, it's the distinguishing mark, right? Where it's like, if you, as a private citizen, you want to go out and you want to canvass and you want to do something, that's fine. But if at every single moment that a candidate shows up, they've got to show up with their arm around celebrity X, now you're just pandering. Mm-hmm. You're not coming across as anything genuine that is, to your point, is going to connect. Yeah. You're just not.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad they didn't do that. Yep.
So I wanted to bring up something else. So
you with all the topics today.
I have all the topics. You know why? Because I wrote a letter to Pueblo, Colorado.
Yeah.
And they sent me a list of topics.
Listeners, have you found out what Pueblo, Colorado is yet? Other than a city in Colorado?
They sent me all these lists of topics. There was a study recently done. So the study was saying that people who are bilingual may unconsciously shift their personalities based on the language they're speaking. And they're calling it language-dependent personality.
Of course.
I had never stopped to think about that before.
Of course.
No. But again, I'm gonna underline the word unconsciously, right? I had just never stopped to think about the fact
you're not the same person in Spanish than you are in English. Absolutely not.
You're just not.
You're not.
And again, I know this, but I hadn't stopped to think about it in that context. And it's just wow. It really does show that just your language defines who you are.
I think I'm going to tell you what one of the for me, what are the biggest sort of differences are. I think that even though technically Spanish is my first language and I spoke Spanish before I spoke English and I'm completely fluent in Spanish, I think in English. And I think that one of the biggest factors that determine somebody's personality is their sense of humor.
Yes.
My sense of humor in English is very different than my sense of humor in Spanish. My sense of humor is in English.
Yeah,
right?
we have
is in English. Yeah. From what I find funny to what I respond to how I speak to what I say.
Your timing.
My timing. It's all based in. I'm talking about my case. It's all based a lot on humor. In Spanish, it's not the same thing. I don't. My sense of humor in Spanish doesn't translate, if you will. Right. I don't get Spanish humor as much. I get most of it, but not at the same level as I do English, humor in English, right?
You don't take it in the same way.
I don't take it in the same way. I don't react to it in the same way. Even if I find something funny, it's not as relatable to me. Because a lot of times there's jokes in Spanish, but they're Cuban American sort of second or first gen jokes. Right. That's not, that falls more in the English, right?
Right.
I'm talking about real comedian.
Yeah, like a Mario Ramil.
Yeah,
that's something you relate to,
right? Because Mario is like us. We're like Mario, right? No, and I think that has a lot to do with how it informs your personality. And there's things that I say, quirky, funny things in English that I wouldn't even know how to say that in Spanish. Not because I don't know the words, but it's the humor. It's just different.
Just as
and for me, that is the biggest one.
again, things that I didn't stop to think about, but you're absolutely right. And I even think, depending on how, I think back to what you're saying, the language you think in, I think that in English, I'm bolder than I am in Spanish just because I have a better mastery of the English language.
Of course.
And I know how to navigate it in a way that I can be, witty and funny, and quick with the response. I cannot be that quick in Spanish. So I almost have to tone down the personality a little bit because it's like I don't know how to navigate the language in a way. Again, I speak it, I read it, I write it, but I don't know how to get my way around it.
You know what we should try to do one day? We should try to do an entire podcast episode in Spanish.
Listen, I tried to do an interview in Spanish with Willie Chirino, and I wound up, defaulting, and with Arturo Sandoval también, and I wound up defaulting a lot of times to Spanglish.
I could do it.
I could do it, but it takes more effort.
Right.
It takes effort because again, this conversation we're having right now, it's coming to me in English. I can come up with it. The little,
So tú no piensas que tu personalidad es diferente en inglés que en español.
No, sí.
Tú piensas que es diferente en español, en inglés.
Totalmente distinto. Totalmente distinto. Pero lo que pasa es que yo no me sé, I have to default into English because I can't be fun and cute and quick in Spanish the same way.
Pero tú eres agradable en cualquier idioma. ¿Cómo tú vas a decir que no? Con lo buen mozo que tú eres.
¿Tú sabes lo que pasa también? La referencia.
¿Cómo cuál?
Por ejemplo, en este programa tú y yo hablamos mucho de la cultura pop.
Ajá.
No es lo mismo hablar...
no es igual decir en español salvado por la campana.
Exacto. Sexo en la ciudad.
Casa llena.
Ajá. Familia moderna.
Mi cantante favorita es María Carey.
Ajá, exactly. It's not the same.
Una de mis películas favoritas es Guerra de las Galaxias.
Oh, sí.
Yo lo puedo hacer.
Capitán América.
Yo lo puedo hacer. Obviamente el inglés me viene más naturalmente en el sentido que creo que lo hablo mejor que el español y pienso obviamente en inglés. No que no piense en español, pero la facilidad la tengo más en inglés. Pero yo puedo hablar en español igual.
Pero ¿sabes qué?
Pero mira, hay cosas, por ejemplo, que yo en español me es más duro hacer. Por ejemplo, yo, por mucho que leo, nunca he leído una novela o un libro completo en español.
Oh.
Porque creo que, obviamente, cuando tú lees algo... Hasta cuando lo lees en inglés, hay un porcentaje de las cosas que no captas simplemente porque estás leyendo muchas páginas,
sí,
una tras de otra.
Entonces, siendo en español es
mientras que cuando es en español, estoy como...
Estás traduciendo.
Hay alguna... no es que esté traduciendo todo, pero estoy traduciendo algunas partes. Y esas son las partes que, te baja el porcentaje de lo que estás atendiendo o reteniendo cuando estás leyendo.
¿Sabes también lo que pasa contigo? La diferencia entre tú y yo es que tú hablas español con tus padres.
Sí.
Yo no.
Tú no. No, sí, yo siempre te digo, tú y tu hermana bastante...
cubanizado.
Sí, porque ustedes hablan a tus padres en inglés.
En inglés. Yo hablo más con mi mamá en español que con mi papá. Sí. Y después que fallecieron mis abuelos, ya no tuve con quién practicar en sí. Pero por eso es que también a mí no me surge tan natural como a ti. No me fluye.
Sí. Pero tú trabajas o has trabajado muchas veces con clientes latinoamericanos.
Eso es cierto, pero también tengo la oportunidad en ese momento de que estoy hablando algo puntual. No es lo mismo hablar...
Ajá. O lo puedes poner en el Google.
En el Google. Bueno, no, en aquel entonces ni siquiera.
No había Google.
No. El wifi no te lo recogía. I hate that they say Wi-Fi instead of Wi-Fi because it's not a wireless fire. Fiber.
Rompiste, estás hablando en inglés. Lo hiciste sin pensar.
I did. Okay. I have my my language dependent personality. I don't think I'm entertaining in Spanish.
No tienes el mismo carisma.
No tengo don.
No tienes esa carisma, esa naturalidad que tienes. Esa chispa que tienes.
No tengo la chispa en español que tengo en inglés.
No. Eres una galletita de soda.
Bueno, tampoco sí.
No, eres desabrío.
Ay.
Díganos, nuestros peros primos por allá afuera escuchándonos hoy en día, ¿qué piensan ustedes cuando sintonizan a nuestro...
Sintonizan,
¿viste?
¡Wow!
Sintonizan a nuestro podcast.
Pero esa es la cosa.
Yo sí que no sé cuál es la traducción de podcast.
Pero lo más probable que no hay, que es podcast. que no hay una traducción, que es otra cosa que también a mí me traba, cojones, porque estoy hablando en español, y como que... y después lo digo en inglés y me siento como que ya, me di por vencido.
Hay un influencer que yo pongo algunas veces los videos de él, que él sale diciendo, muchos de ustedes dicen que son bilingües, pero no saben cómo decir tal palabra en español. ¿Cómo se dice? Una vez yo mandé, porque él dijo, ¿cómo se dice en español? Highlighter.
¿Verdad?
Y yo te acuerdo que yo mandé a todos nuestros amigos, and people were like, what? El highlighter. And what was it? It was respaldador.
Respaldador. Or
No, it was o marcador.
No, I said
resaltador. It was resaltador.
I
And
said,
that comes from resalta.
Right. I said it should be marcador fosforescente.
Yes. And then otro que él puso esta semana, he goes, how do you say sprinkler in Spanish? And I'm like, ¿eres sprinkle?
Well, no, my mind went to regadera, but regadera is the shower.
I would say regadera.
I mean, I know regadera is the shower, so I'm thinking...
How do you call the thing you cut the grass with?
¿La máquina de chapear?
No, no la máquina de chapear.
El weed eater?
Ajá.
Oh, I have no idea. That's the
It's
weed
called
eater.
la orilladora.
Okay, that makes sense. I just wouldn't have thought about that. Yeah, a weed eater.
You call it a weed eater?
Claro, weed eater.
Wow, eso está bien interesante.
A weed eater.
Eso es lo que usas para cortar el pasto.
El pasto?
El pasto.
Is that how you say lawn?
En español sí. Creo que los mexicanos dicen pasto.
Oh, yo nunca había
Sí,
oído.
voy a caminar por el pasto cuando voy para la chamba. Oye, yo me crié viendo las novelas de Televisa.
Costilla de novela.
Con mi familia. Yo sé lo que quiere decir la
el,
chamba.
el español tuyo es cubano, español
Sí.
y mexicano.
Y déjame la neta.
There's a word that I love. Platicar.
Platicar, sí.
Platicar.
El que yo no... Porque, bueno, los mexicanos no dicen esto. Pero lo que yo sí no me viene natural y me es duro seguirle a alguien que dice vos.
Oh, eso es argentino.
Vosotros.
Sí, eso es bien argentino.
Vos fuiste al McDonald's.
No, I didn't get any Voss water.
Vos tráeme eso.
Stop being pretentious.
Vos tráeme la orilladora.
No. That sentence started high class and then ended like, very working class.
Vamos a escribirle al pueblo colorado.
Oh, sí. I'm telling you, yo voy a poner en Google qué es lo que se escribía en Pueblo Colorado.
I think that for this...
I think it's a catalog.
Okay, let's break now.
Okay.
I think enough of that. I think that for this... pero let me tell you guys, West, this year we should go to Pueblo, Colorado.
We should go search for that thing, whatever it was.
And I remember that, like... I don't know. Like, I'm looking at the commercial now. It was like at nighttime. Like,
it was. I think it was like a catalog or some type of information. You were requesting information. I just don't remember for what.
it's like, do they have PSAs nowadays?
They do, because I've seen McGruff. But the thing is that it runs differently. Like, they run now on CTV. Like, it's not necessarily on
Court TV.
No. CTV is like connected television. So like all the things that we have, like the Roku channel and all that, they sell their inventory.
Oh.
So that's called connected television. But it runs on like that type of stuff. But you probably don't see it anymore on like the local channels.
No.
Although that's not true, because I think by law the channels have to allocate a certain amount of time
estos
to
eran los
PSAs.
canales que yo veía cuando era niño. El canal 2.
Okay.
El canal 4.
Okay.
El canal 6.
Pero el 4 ¿El 4 cuando era NBC o cuando era...?
Bueno, cuando era niño era NBC.
Ajá.
El 4, la NBC, perdón. El 4, el 6, el 10, el 17.
El 17.
Obviamente estos son canales en Miami.
Sí. WLRN.
El 23, el 33, el 39 y el 51. I mean, so you know something that does not happen anymore? It does not happen anymore. Listeners, if you're of a certain age,
The end of the broadcasting day.
The end of the broadcasting day when they would air the beautiful images of America.
Yep.
Because nothing says like, winding down the channel as a Star Spangled Banner.
You know what? You get very patriotic before the end of the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember I would always, like 33 especially, it was like the last thing they would show would be Maude and then the national anthem.
And then it was really funny because in sitcoms, then they would, in a sitcom, they would use like, if the character fell asleep, they would use them falling asleep on the couch and then listening to the national anthem as a signal that it was really late in the scene.
Yep, so, that's right. Because it would go, you would hear the doo, because they would go to the.
No, it doesn't mean anything.
No, it doesn't mean anything. Because it doesn't happen.
No, and then it would go to the doo, to the color thing, and then the color thing after a few minutes would just turn into
snow.
Snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, you got to be over 40 to know that.
You really do. Yeah.
When did channels stop ending?
When they started having infomercials.
Oh yeah, but I think in the 90s they still.
Right, but what I mean is once these stations found out that they could just make money overnight. Sure.
You know, we could have a whole episode on infomercials, and. You know, I had my favorite infomercials that's just like everybody else. But I think that the greatest infomercial of all time was that infomercial in like the mid to late 90s where men could spray their head,
the bald spot
to get rid of male pattern baldness. I think that is one of the greatest infomercials ever. And the fact that infomercial aired for like 10 years.
Yeah.
For like 10 years. And you know, I don't know anybody that bought that spray, but I'm sure that a lot of people did. And you know, good for them. Good for them that they got rid of male pattern baldness by just spraying their head.
Well, no, but
I mean, maybe, you do what you got to do to look good, right?
Maybe they bought it for their shoes. Like maybe they bought it and they just didn't use it on their head.
Why would they buy spray to get rid of baldness to put on their shoes?
Because you could spray your shoes to get the color back if it was scuffed.
But why don't you just buy shoe coloring?
Maybe it was cheaper. I don't know how things work.
Okay. So although with that said, I also liked the infomercials for Dance Party USA.
Those were fun.
You know, in the 90s, the Dance Party USA's where like these CDs would be filled with like songs from Casey and the Sunshine Band, and I'd be like, but what is this crap? Like, I don't know.
What was the one that had the guy that looked like Satan?
What?
There was this one that it was him and a lady, and they were always behind a desk. And I think the lady was the roommate between Suzanne Summers and the last lady on Three's Company.
Oh, no say.
And the guy looked like Satan.
No say. You know what another good infomercial was? Psychic Friends. Aww. Psychic Friends was a good one. Get a psychic reading on the phone by calling a 976 number. Like what? Why would anybody think that was not legit? You know, Miss Cleo. That was a really good one.
You saw her documentary?
I did see her documentary. Which one else was good? I also liked like the Ron Popeil food dehydrator. That was a really good one as well.
I liked anything with Chef Nancy.
Chef Nancy was good. And then there was oh my god, esta mujer, the redhead. Oh my god, that she does the dump meals.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I don't remember her name.
That one. All hers are Kathy Mitchell. Kathy Mitchell is the one, the lady who's a redhead, that she does all these like gadgets in the kitchen, and she's famous for her dump meals where you just dump things in a casserole and 30 minutes later you have a home cooked meal for the whole family. Those were also fun. Which one else is
I don't think this was an infomercial, but the Rolly kit always annoyed me.
The Rolly kit wasn't an infomercial, it was a commercial.
Okay.
With Joy Mangano.
Yes, Joy Mangano, who then was played logically by Jennifer Lawrence.
Of course. I mean, listen, I don't know about the Rolly kit, but those huggable hangers, that's a game changer.
That works. Yeah.
So what were some of your favorite infomercials?
I just honestly I liked Suzanne Powder.
Oh yeah.
Stop the Insanity.
Yeah.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah.
She was great. There was a lot of fitness.
A lot of fitness in the 90s. Do you remember the infomercial for, what was his name? Tony Little?
Yes.
That he would get on the Gazelle and he would just do that
with the ponytail.
That he had the ponytail. Yeah, that was interesting as well. That was interesting.
And then, of course, you had Suzanne Summers with her Thigh Master.
The Thigh Master, yeah.
I don't know. I liked all the ones that had that kitchen set. I don't remember all. I saw most of them with you.
Most of them were Ron Popeil.
Rompopio was most of them.
Yes, he had again the food dehydrator. He had the blender. He had the turkey rotisserie thing. Rompopio also did. Rompopio was the one who did the spray. Yeah,
Who was the one that was like Mike?
that was Mike from Amazing Discoveries.
Amazing Discoveries.
Yeah, that he would have those sweaters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of looked like he was trying to be Bill Cosby.
Have there been any documentaries on infomercials? I feel there should be a documentary about an infomercial. Why don't we do a documentary about infomercials?
Let's do it. I don't know how, but we didn't know how to do a podcast or chicken wings.
I mean, we could interview Cher because Cher was probably, if not the first, one of the first celebrities.
You're right.
To do
An infomercial. Because it was the hair product.
And I remember Judith Light did an infomercial, the first infomercial for Proactive Solution.
Yes, I totally forgot that was
With
Judith Light.
And I remember she would talk very seriously about benzoyl peroxide or whatever the hell they put in acne treatment. So very serious. Like, yeah.
Okay, we need to do this if for no other reason than to meet Judith Light and Cher. And Dionne Warwick.
Oh, yeah. Dionne Warwick probably doesn't want to talk about the psychic friends.
You know what? No, I think she would.
You think she would?
Have you seen her on Twitter?
Yeah.
She probably has a lot to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's going to be great for the trailer.
Do you remember on Saturday Night Live I don't know if it was Saturday Night Live or In Living Color when they would make fun of Cher in the infomercial?
I think it was on In Living Color.
Yeah, that the lady she used to host it with was not as good looking.
Right,
They'll be like, oh, next to me, everybody looks good. You know, like that type of thing.
I know. I'm thinking we should do it. You know what? We know enough people. I'm sure we can ask how to do a documentary.
Amazing Discoveries. That one was great.
Okay, we're going to do this. Because, we don't have enough things on our plate.
I remember that one of the first infomercials I saw, I think, was in like the late 80s, early 90s. And it was for this hand blender, like an immersion blender called the Daily. And I remember, I'm looking at it right now, that I was in awe because in the infomercial, they would put heavy cream in like a cup, right? And they would put the blender in and create butter. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, you know who else was another?
For 2 easy payments of $29.99, you could have this great blender with a lifetime warranty.
Well, there's always a lifetime warranty.
I mean, that means that there's people still out there that are using this.
I'm sure that so there better be a warehouse somewhere that if they need one,
yeah,
you can replace it.
Yes.
You know who else was pretty big on the infomercials was Richard Simmons. His Sweating to the Oldies, Deal a Meal.
Yeah. Oh, Deal a Meal. That one, that had cards, right?
Yes. It looked like Uno.
Yeah, I was like, I've seen cards.
Yes. It was basically like Weight Watchers, because Weight Watchers, it's like the point system or whatever. Yeah. So Deal a Meal was like you had this big ass wallet with a big ass cards, and you would like move things around so you could eat things at a certain time of day. It was looked very complete.
Right.
Confusing.
Long live infomercials.
Yes. We should do the documentary on it.
Like, why not?
Or at least figure out how to hire people to do it.
Why not? We could do it.
And be the executive producers.
We got into chicken wings and podcast como te dijiste without knowing, and here we are. 313 episodes. And,
you know what? Okay, fine. We'll do it.
And then we'll interview ourselves.
Oh. Wait, how would that work? The magic of television.
We will date back to this very episode.
Okay. And you know what? And we will film the entire thing in Pueblo, Colorado.
Yes. Okay. So, you know that when we finish recording, that is the first thing we're going to look up, right?
Absolutely.
But Pero Primos listeners, if you want to let us know, maybe you know more than we do, we'd greatly appreciate it. So... Wow, I can't believe it's already back to school time. Let's see. That means new clothes, new supplies, return of bedtime routines, and for many kids, that also includes a school physical exam. Don't worry, Dr. Goodprice has you covered on that last one. Open until 7 p.m. on weekdays and 3 p.m. on Saturdays, you won't need to take time off from work. And the average wait time at Dr. Goodprice is only about 30 minutes, even with every appointment being a walk-in. Oh, and did we mention that school physicals are just $30? Medical care for your kids is important, but it shouldn't be at the cost of your time and money. Dr. Goodprice believes everyone, especially kids, should be able to get affordable medical care on their time. Visit drgoodprice.com today for more information and services.
Oye, pero primos, you saw our 300th episode, so you know we handle hot sauce a little better than we thought. And when the flavors are as robust as Barbaros, we are definitely on board. Barbaro Mojo was founded by a father and son on Nochebuena. I mean, you can't get any more Cuban than that, right? When they took their traditional mojo marinade up a notch with some spicy heat. They've got 4 great flavors, like el habanero and the award-winning jalabao. But our fave is definitely el piñazo, which combines pineapple with habaneros and Fresno peppers for a sweet and spicy experience. And if that's not enough, Pero Primos, visit barbaromojo.com today and use code PERO25 for 25% off your order. Now that's the kind of thing we consider hot. Así que don't wait. Visit barbaromojo.com today and use code PERO25 for 25% off your order of sweet, spicy, and irresistible Cuban hot sauces. ¡Que bárbaro! Well, Barbaro Mojo, that is.
Is it soda time?
Well, it normally would be, but this is our last week of a Barbaro de la Semana.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in our Barbaro Mojo
Mine
hats.
says it on the other side.
Yes, because we actually interviewed them today earlier, so we're in a Barbaro mood right now.
Yes.
So you want to go first?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, all right, so here we go. So I'm going to give my Barbaro de la Semana to, this is going to surprise a lot of people who I'm going to give a shout out to this week. I'm actually going to give it to our governor, Ron DeSantis.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's the apocalypse.
Listen, we live in very partisan times, and even though people know my political leanings and know where I stand, I like to think that I'm objective and I'm rational, and when somebody does something that should be celebrated, we should celebrate it. And this week, the governor did sort of kill something, a law that a lot of Floridians were very against, and I think it should be acknowledged. So there had been a proposal by the Department of Parks and Recreation. I don't remember the exact name of the department, but pretty much the department that oversaw the parks in Florida, where a substantial amount of parks here in the state were going to be developed insofar as adding pickleball courts, because pickleball is a thing now, even adding hotel rooms, adding golf courses, and a lot of these parks are in reserves, are in very pristine areas. And, for many people who are, care about the environment, and many people that understand how these things work, once you open the door for development in any park, you have just broken down the barrier that developers can now go in there and maybe build more things. And what doesn't tell you that in so many years they will say, oh, we're going to build a hotel in this park so people can enjoy the beauty and all that. So those are the things that sometimes why you're very weary about these type of parks, these type of proposals. But this week the governor pretty much said that they weren't going to allow that they're not going to move forward with that idea. And at least for now, the parks are going to remain as it is. And, that's very important, because whether you like him or not, he is the governor of Florida. And if he would have supported that, it would have had a great chance of moving forward with having these developments being built in parks, and he did stop it. So, as much as I disagree with him on just about everything, I do think it was important that he did step in, and I give him credit for, at least for now, for stopping it. So my Barbaro of the week goes to the governor.
Well, there you go. See?
Nobody can say I'm not.
This is true.
Unreasonable.
You're unbiased.
That I'm
yes.
Well, I mean,
that you're
a little biased.
Well, but you're willing to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, I mean, I think that listen, no matter who did that, I'll take the win. And the win is our parks in Florida. And if we got that win because of the governor, then so be it. We got the win. And I think it's very important to acknowledge people, even if you disagree with them, when they do something that you are in favor for. So I'm more than happy to say that I am very glad that he did this, and a win is a win. And at least for now, the parks are safe.
All right, great. So Ron DeSantis is your Barbaro de la Semana. So
that took a lot out of me.
I know. Just lean back, relax. So my Barbaro de la Semana actually is somebody who is actually known as a Barbaro del Ritmo, Benny More.
Okay.
And so last week I went to a documentary screening about his life, and it was intercut with it was a documentary about this band that was trying to put together a tribute to him. They did put together the tribute, but it also intercut it with his life in Cuba, with interviews of his family and all that. He died at like the age of 45, but he also basically created so many hits and just songs that we know and love. And what I thought was wonderful about sitting there is that as I sat in that theater that had this cross section of generations, you know, you also had on screen interviews with people like Willie Chirino, but also, Celia Cruz, Olga Guillot, just, and Roberto Torres was in the audience.
Caballo Viejo.
Yes, he was in the audience. And he was so cute. He was like a little old man with a little suit.
I have a picture with Roberto Torres when I was 12 because he sang Caballo Viejo at a 15 that I went to at the Seville Hotel in Miami Beach. Go on.
Well, there you go.
That 15's la quinceañera came out of a vase.
A vase?
Yes.
Oh, I need pictures.
Yeah, a big vase, but a vase.
Oh, yes, I didn't think she was shrunk down.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show how like he was somebody who had no formal training in music. He did everything by sound. It was just, how he was. And he was not alive for very long. I mean, he died in his 40s of cirrhosis of the liver. And yet here we are still talking about him. And
when did he die?
When?
Yeah.
I don't remember the year, but it was like in the 60s.
Okay, so it's been a bit.
It's been a bit, yeah. And yet he still has such an impact on people. His music is still known everywhere. He's still just considered an icon to the point where there was one of the musicians that was interviewed in the film that said, Cuba has two iconic exports, Benny More and Celia Cruz.
Yeah.
And I just thought it fitting after seeing that and finding out that his nickname was El Bárbaro del Ritmo, that I give him El Bárbaro de la Semana.
Very fitting. Very, very fitting. Yep. Good job.
Yep.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was a fun documentary. It was short. It was about like an hour and a half.
Is that where you saw Cari Cruz?
I did. Yes, that is where I saw.
Great.
Yes.
Great. So, wow. Those are two good ones. So, well, everybody, we hope you listened, laughed, and learned. And hopefully some of you can teach us about Pueblo, Colorado. Again, you got to be over the age of 40 to get that reference. I mean, it's not even a reference. It's something that was very real in the 80s and early 90s. Those commercials for Pueblo, Colorado. That we're going to find out what they were.
It's like nowadays when people are told to reach out about Camp Lejeune.
What's Camp Lejeune?
I don't know, but there's advertisements for it. It's some type of military thing. I think there's like a class action lawsuit happening.
Okay. Well, anybody, we hope you listened, laughed, and learned. As always, remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your cafecito. And thank you so much for joining us, everyone. See you next week.
Cuídense, mi gente. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.